game. And I do believe that both players are actually indeed ready. You can see the stats on the screen right there really quickly. And Sheth, even though it may look like the stats slightly favor Terran, you got to remember, I think Sean was talking about this a little bit, is that there's just not that many games played on these maps. I mean, you can look at that and be like, well, that's 100 games, but still, I mean, if you think about StarCraft 1, they'll play some of these maps for like years with thousands of games played on them. And there's still a lot of things that can take these players by surprise. So spawning up in the top center.
The one, the only, the blue Zerg.
Buy a beer.
Sheth.
Yes.
Oh, buy a beer for Liquid Sheth.
We interwove that absolutely perfectly. And on the left side, it is going to be EG's ThorZaIN. And I think he said, is this correct, that he's currently living at the EG house?
Yeah,
he's been spending time there.
He's been training at the lair a little bit, I do believe.
I believe
actually, I don't know if that's public information.
I don't know. But
his next location for training is undisclosed.
Okay. Well, I figure he's part of EG now. His name's EG. So
oh, no, the layer stuff is no secret.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyways, they are going to be spawning here close by air, which I really want to see if Sheth is going to decide to use Mutalisks or not. I feel like he's not going to. Just the way he's been talking about Mutas, he says, you know, you have to practice just the Muta build so much more than just, you know, standard, you know, maybe Zergling Roach or mixing in other units other than the Mutalisk. And so I feel like he is not going to go for that.
So there's another fast fact down there. It says ThorZaIN was a relative unknown prior to his victory at TSL3, which was a huge victory. Remember, that was ThorZaIN Naniwa.
I do. Which
was pretty monstrous. Now, ThorZaIN was actually really well known in Warcraft 3. That's where he came from.
That is
surprise, surprise.
And a lot of players who are good at StarCraft 2, they started in Warcraft 3. Stefano, I think he was like...
There's been some... There's lots of sick translation of skills.
For the most part, the best players, now this isn't universal.
Oh, I don't know. Are you going to say this statement?
What?
That most of the players that... It sounded like you were going to the place to say most of the players that have been so successful at StarCraft 2 came from Warcraft 3.
I was going to say that's part of it, and also players from Brood War transitioning over to StarCraft 2.
Pretty much the top RTS players, right, were able to come over. You also, somebody that... I mean, we talk about a lot, but we don't really talk about where he came from before. Select was actually a top Command & Conquer player.
Yes.
Or, excuse me, Dawn of War? Either Dawn of War or Command & Conquer.
But it's very interesting to see those players come from different RTS backgrounds. Stefano, for example, I think was 15 during his Warcraft 3 time. And there was a game where I cast of him versus Grubby in Warcraft 3. And he got absolutely crushed by Grubby. And now Stefano's the one crushing on through StarCraft 2. So the fact that Stefano started playing RTSs competitively so young, if he decides to keep playing, I don't even want to know how good he's going to be, because it's going to be unstoppable. ThorZaIN, though, once again, going to be opening up with a factory.
And speaking of ThorZaIN, one of his teammates, DeMuslim, he's also another guy that actually started playing super young as well and having great success in the RTS world. Yeah. He's
also extremely good at StarCraft 2 as well, and they probably actually can bounce off of each other as far as learning strategies and things like that. DeMuslim, I gotta say, he's such a manner guy as well. If you watch the stream, he's a very, very nice guy. And we do see Sheth does have his expansion up now. And also, what's his Zergling count at? It should be just a couple on the way. No, he's deciding not even to get Zerglings yet. He wants to go for Zergling speed first.
That's right. So as he works on that metabolic boost, we now see that ThorZaIN down over here has just started the expansion of his own, and he is just about to start double pumping out those Hellions so that he can try to stay active with those once again. He did, a pretty solid job with it last game.
Right, and I mean, the most important thing with those Hellions is two things: to deny the creep tumors and to not lose them. If you lose them within the first, I would say 5 to 8 minutes, then you can find yourself all of a sudden losing to a lot of different unit compositions because you can't deal with the Zerglings, and that really, really sucks. And so I'm curious to see, is ThorZaIN going to continue Hellion production, or he's just going to build 2 command centers again very, very early?
Well, he's already got 1 command center definitely on the way. So, I mean, I want to know when exactly he's going to move that out. Is he going to have to wait a long time until he has enough units to get out there and secure that 3rd? Or is this going to be something where he's just going to go ahead and risk it?
Well, you have to remember, looking at this 3rd base, there's destructible rocks here and here. There's destructible rocks everywhere on this map, but it does leave just 1 entrance to that 3rd base, which means that if ThorZaIN can place his units perfectly, he might actually be able to secure that 3rd earlier than some other maps. Now, it's when those rocks start getting destroyed that you're really going to have to be a little bit worrisome. Now, I kind of like this for ThorZaIN. He's mixing it up a little bit. This time only making 2 Hellions as opposed to, I guess, excuse me, there's the 4. And no, he is going to make 6, so never mind. just ignore everything I said. He's going to be going for, once again, the big power play on the map control.
Which is good because actually this is a great place to do it because as we can see right in that natural, yeah, that surface area is just so small and there he is just getting in once again. He has too many Hellions for one queen to really be able to push through. Now Sheth is adding on an additional queen, so that's going to get him up to that 4 count, but I mean he's already taken a decent amount of damage, but now instead he's using a spine crawler to help him push forward.
Yeah, this is something he's absolutely going to have to do. The Hellions just driving around and kind of taunting that queen, and if they can pull the queen out here, she might actually get taken out here if Sheth does not back
that's
her up.
actually only a single queen. Oh, and it has 50 HP remaining, but Sheth could be going for the bait there. Look how many Zerglings he has to follow this up and potentially get in there and get us around. Now, ThorZaIN, I do believe, was able to see at least a few of those Zerglings for just a split second, so that's going to trigger him to pull back all of those Hellions.
Yeah, and the reason he's going to do this, if you're wondering, is because there's no wall in here, and they are going to collide here right in the center. Can Sheth do enough damage? Nope, the angle is way too great. Got to hand to Sheth, though. He did back out at the exact right second. Literally 1 or 2 more seconds there, and those Zerglings would have almost all been killed off with a second volley.
Right, exactly. Just one more volley. StarCraft is a game of inches.
It is indeed, and a game of seconds as well.
Generic statement about RTS.
Dude, that's true. It's so true, though. I think a lot of players don't realize how positioning is so important and how timings are down to the second on some of these builds.
Yeah, man.
And I love this from ThorZaIN as well. I love both these players, I just want to say. But also right now, he is repairing up these Hellions. And I say it so many times to Terran players, your first initial Hellions are so crucial, absolutely crucial. While they seem like a unit you can just throw away, they cost a lot. So don't throw them away until at least the 10-minute mark.
Yeah. Keep them for as long as possible. But here he is, as he approaches that 10-minute mark, maybe he's going in to get rid of them right now, although probably not, because generally ThorZaIN likes to keep a hold of his units.
Indeed, and we saw him do that in the last game, doing very, very well with the unit survival there. Apparently we have some thumping music going on now, but it does look like the Hellions right here are continuing that center map control. And again, no, this is an island expo out here with that creep tumor, so you have to end up killing that one off. And right now it does look like ThorZaIN just continuing forward and finally is now able to secure that third base.
Right, so there he is moving down that orbital command, just about to secure that as he works on the destructible debris. Now he's trying to stay a little bit active. Meanwhile, once again, that's Sheth. About the 10-minute mark, he's just about got his lair down there. Very likely to just follow up with his infestation pit immediately. He certainly has the gas ready.
Indeed he does, and now working on the 1-1. Oh, there we go.
Hello, Austin, Texas. You're
I love
just
how we
tuning in for game 2.
randomly get to share this series so far. So for everyone that just tuned in now, ThorZaIN's currently up 1-0. He's been in great shape, in not only in game number 1, but in game number 2 here. He's managed to secure that third base quite easily, and he still hasn't lost these very vital 6 initial Hellions. And after that 10-minute mark, I mean, those Hellions have kind of done their job. They've slowed the creep spread quite heavily here for Liquid Sheth, and will also be very useful in this mass Ling style that we've seen out of Sheth.
Oh, wow. And now we see Sheth going in for a bit of a multi-pronged assault here, moving down into third, so he's going to have the information down there, although he's opting to destroy the rocks instead of going for the SCVs. And there he goes, moving in just a little bit. The Marines are going to clean that up very quickly. And now Sheth picking off a couple of those Hellions and the siege tanks, destroying those Lings.
Yeah, in both these games, there hasn't really been a moment that I can think back on that, you know, it's like ThorZaIN is in a lot of trouble here. Like right there, he was able to clean up the Zerglings, and at the same time, he had Marines behind his mineral line. They weren't even exposed at all, preventing that counterattack from doing any amount of damage. Now, the main thing is that Liquid Sheth has only lost Zerglings so far, and is once again going for like that 11-minute hive tech, which is what we saw him do in the first game. But the main problem was he got the upgrade so fast that he didn't actually have that many Ultralisks. I think in that entire game he only made between like 5 to 8, and we'll see it if this game he changes it up a little bit.
Yeah, so if instead he had ended up building the units first, maybe he would have been in a better position to crack ThorZaIN's line through the center of Antigua Shipyard, because that was really what it ended up being, was that Sheth just couldn't stay very active with his units, and then once he wanted to, ThorZaIN was already so well secured through the center. Although it's going to be much harder for ThorZaIN to hold the center of this map. Now Sheth is staying very active with his Lings, getting in there, trying to get us around on a few of these Hellions. Is he going to be able to fry any of those Lings?
Man, these Hellions just refuse to die, and oh, these Zerglings are completely caught out of position. That is not going to be good. Thought that one Zergling was going to survive, but nope, ending up losing. How many Zerglings has he lost so far? 95. I believe that almost all of that has indeed been Zerglings. And that starts to add up, man. He's currently about 2,000 resources behind in the units lost. He doesn't even have his hive tech done. So right now, if ThorZaIN pushes out, he could once again, this is almost like the exact same game we saw last time, only it's just a different map.
Well, and the biggest thing, too, is actually ThorZaIN has a much more significant supply lead here moving into this portion of the game. Now, Sheth doesn't really have the answers that he's going to need just yet. He does have his first batch of infestors trying to finish up, and now ThorZaIN is able to get in there and remove what little creep Sheth has out into the center of the map, and it's looking like Sheth is opting for a counterattack.
Oh, but lifts up the supply depots there, so Sheth is going to have to slowly whittle these down. It's going to take a while, though, with just pure Zergling. There's no range units in there to make that a bit easier, and it does look like this will push ThorZaIN back a tiny bit. He does decide to leave his siege tanks here. We'll see if this plays a big role here in Sheth's ability to deny that contain. But right now, the Zerglings once again running down here to try and do some damage, but these Zerglings are going to get caught down here.
Oh, man, yeah, but not before they deal just a little bit more damage, taking a few more of those Marines with him, and now moving up into the natural. He's getting in there and picking off that free siege tank, doing a great job. Now, meanwhile, we're also seeing ThorZaIN stay a little active through the center of the map. Sheth is going in, trying to break the siege line, but the tanks are just holding up too well.
Wow, usually Zerglings are pretty good versus the solo tanks, but there's just so many tanks there establishing the location. We do see the creep spread cleanup over here. These guys have been doing lots of drugs. They're down to 1 HP apiece. The siege tanks have been left behind. The Zerglings still haven't been completely cleaned up, but if we take a look at the units lost, I mean, Sheth has a lot of ground to make up for here. Still that 4,000 resource deficit.
ThorZaIN's been making the kind of trades that you really want to, right, moving into the center of the game as that Terran player. I mean, and really, Sheth is going for kind of these high-risk, high-reward scenarios where he's just hoping so dearly that ThorZaIN doesn't have units already prepared to kill his counterattacks. Now, ThorZaIN's done just such a good job. Oh, man.
Those Marines
one hit
died
each.
at the... they like got hit by a nuclear missile because they only had 1 HP, dying there at the same time. But, I mean, I like what Sheth is trying to do here. He's trying to prevent ThorZaIN from pushing into his main base because he's going for Broodlords this time. Last time it was Ultralists. But, you know, he's trying to get that high-tech unit as quickly as possible. But so far, it has not been cost-effective for him.
Oh, man. So here he has his first few Broodlords are going to be coming into play, so he may be able to... He just needs to buy enough time to get that Broodlord count pretty high and have a bunch of infestors out there. So as long as he's able to catch ThorZaIN just a little bit out of position, he can still very much take this game. And now the quick response, stopping ThorZaIN from being able to abuse him with those drops.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on the production tab, although ThorZaIN already starting the Vikings, so he knows exactly what's going on this game. It's not going to be taking him by surprise whatsoever, and he's also immediately working on the ship weapons level 1. This is something that's very interesting that I love about ThorZaIN is he gets all the upgrades. He has upgrades for his tanks, upgrades for his Marines, and now even for his Vikings. So none of his units are going to be very fragile here versus the build order that Liquid Sheth is doing. Sheth is working on the +3 attack, 3 armor on the way as well. And again, I mean, Sheth is struggling here to get up his supply count to that 200 cap.
Oh, and once again, ThorZaIN just half a step ahead of Sheth there, able to kill those Zerglings as they try to get around. But now ThorZaIN staying active with his medevacs and his Marines once again. Oh, man, but Sheth is getting in for a quick surround onto a few of those unsuspecting, unsieged tanks and getting a quick cleanup.
Man, those tanks have got to wonder, why do we have no other backup here? They've just been sitting there for quite a while. And the Marine drop. This is a... Oh, this infestor gets a fungal. Nope, it looks like it may indeed get sniped. Nice split there by ThorZaIN, realizing that was an imminent threat. And he is going to run down here, takes out the Queen right away. Could go for the Spore Caller or the hatchery itself. And it does look like one of the medevacs goes down. If Sheth can clean this up, he may be able to do lots of damage. He does have a counterattack going on down here. It does look like there is enough units to clean that one up, though. And we're just going to have to see on the units lost. Sheth is slowly kind of getting back in this a little bit.
That's right. We can see that their supply count is just about evened up at this point. Now, Sheth had a very successful counterattack down onto that 3rd base. ThorZaIN does have a 4th base up. It's not fully saturated quite yet, but really, Sheth's in a pretty comfortable spot now. That 50 supply deficit is pretty much gone. If we take a look at the income tab for just a second.
Wow. Does look like he cleaned up all those siege tanks there. That ThorZaIN, I almost feel like he forgot about them. He was like, nah, we're not friends anymore, just leaving them there for a very long time. And unfortunately for ThorZaIN, I think he spread himself a little too thin throughout these engagements. Even though his army was superior, he left himself very vulnerable to the counterattack, very vulnerable to the surround with the Zerglings. And now Sheth, as long as he focuses here, he can definitely take this for sure.
Oh, man, Sheth, yeah, he's staying in a fantastic position. He's also starting to move down with some secret infestors, although not so secret when you scan.
That is
lost a couple of them down there. Wasn't really able to do too much damage down in 3rd. Now, over here, ThorZaIN once again staying active with his drops, doing whatever he can to stay in the game.
Now this medevac is going to get taken out by these corruptors, so goodbye right there. 2 Marines are still loose. Don't use a fungal there. That'd be a total waste. Broodlords are able to clean that one up. And it does look like the Viking count is pretty darn high. Now, one thing that a lot of the players were talking about is the use of Ravens versus Zerg, and that's exactly what ThorZaIN is doing here. He's like, you know what? I have a lot of resources. I have enough bases to be mining lots of gas. You can see just getting another base right there. So go for the Raven, get the Seeker Missile, and start blowing some stuff up.
Well, not only that, but with how prevalent the creep spread really is in this matchup, you can use it to instead see free creep tumors. And now we have Sheth getting in there for a little bit of a pick. Fortunately for him, that siege tank just wasn't really in range to finish cleaning that up just yet. And now ThorZaIN's in a comfortable spot as he establishes dominance over the center of the map.
Yeah, both players are feeling pretty good here. ThorZaIN, I think, could have ended the game potentially a little bit earlier, but he's still not out of this by any means. I mean, instead of a 4,000 supply, or 4,000 supply lead, that'd be quite the lead, 4,000 mineral lead as far as the resources lost, now it's just down to about 2,000. So, I mean, he's still doing fairly well. The Overlord is going to be spawning this command center landing right there, so Sheth does know the timing, but looking at the unit composition here for ThorZaIN, it's definitely looking a little bit wonky. We have Medivacs, Thors, Vikings, Siege Tanks, Marines, and even some Ravens mixed in.
Wow, and now Sheth actually has so many resources saved up as well that really he could choose to morph those into additional Broodlords, although really he has to make sure to keep that Corruptor count high enough to deal with the Vikings.
Corruptor is so important in TVZ at this stage because not only Vikings, but the Ravens as well, and even the medevac drops, you can clean them up so easily with the Corruptors by just simply sniping. That Sheth does not want to engage right there. Needs to be very, very careful here as both players now have the upgrades. We do have Seeker Missile on the way. All the other upgrades for the Raven are essentially done, and that's just going to make the Seeker Missile even more powerful. And the Raven count is currently at 5, and that's the exact number that ThorZaIN was saying that he likes to get when he can go for the Ravens. So I want to see what can ThorZaIN make happen with these Ravens.
So now we saw Sheth dancing around the center of the map a little bit with some of those lings. Not only is he getting some information, but he's also freeing up supply so that he can continue to repop. He's been adding on more Corruptors so that he can be sure to stay on top of that. And now we also saw Sheth add on a second Spire as well, so he's going to be double pumping those air upgrades.
There is one Infestor hidden at this location. You can fungal or throw Infested Terrans out to deal with those SCVs. I'll keep him selected in case he does decide to go ahead and do that. But right now, I mean, the map is getting cut in half, which is usually pretty good for Terran. The one thing you have to watch out for on this map, though, is that, you know, Zerg players have a lot of different routes of attack. That's why you see armies placed on the right side. There's one in the center, even one on the left side as well. ThorZaIN has been utilizing map positioning much more than a lot of Terran players.
Now, taking a look at these Vikings, looking like Sheth may be going for a drop to try to take that. Oh, excuse me. There's lots of wings moving across, but those Vikings are already in position, and now they're going to get picked off without able to get off a single wing out of there. Pretty much just free units for ThorZaIN.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's not going to be obviously not cost effective for him, but also he wants to make sure to save as much money as he possibly can. He has a drop on the left side, so even though ThorZaIN may have spotted this, he really wants to go for it. Surprised to see no Nidus Worm action here in this drop, but look at this, the Marines are going to spot this and even able to kill one of the Overlords, which is completely full. Or maybe is he going to kill any of these? I sure hope so.
Yeah,
these Overlords, though, completely caught out of position. Oh, no! Sheth not able to make anything happen there. The supply is plummeting for him, and he unloaded a total of like 5 Zerglings. I love what Sheth is trying to do
Overlord
here. Yeah, that's, load up one into each Overlord, but, you know, unfortunately for Sheth, I think he had a lot of momentum, but now he may have lost some of it by losing that many units.
Although really you can see just how quickly he was able to repop. We didn't see his supply cap drop for a split second, so really all of those Overlords were extra, and now he's continued to fill up his supply again with just more Corruptors. So 13. He's going to have a massive Broodlord Corruptor army.
Yeah, I mean, 13 Corruptors is great. The Broodlords going to be getting mixed in as well. And we don't see any ghosts for using Snipe or anything like that. This Infestor actually lost his chance to kill off all these SCVs now as he's sacrificing his own SCVs. He's not even running them into Sheth's army. This Siege Tank has got the worst job ever, which is to kill all of his friends.
So ThorZaIN now just pausing just a little bit before he continues to massacre his own units, because up in Sheth's main, there's yet another drop up there. Oh, able to take down the spawning pool, although he's not building too many of those units right now. Now we have the Corruptor getting in and finishing off that medevac, and now following in before those Marines can continue doing any more damage.
Yeah,
Sheth's getting a pretty quick cleanup.
That wasn't
not
really
too much damage done. I mean, he's not building lings anymore.
Yeah, he's not losing, like, oh man. I don't think I've ever seen this, and I find this extremely hilarious. This guy's surviving. He's like, no, don't kill me. I'm the chosen one. The medevac loves me. We'll see if he survives. I'm just going to select him. We'll see if ThorZaIN feels that evil, but he does look like he's going to be cleaning up these creep tumors right now. And these Marines at this point are basically sacrificial, just like the SCVs, because the game's been going on so long that you kind of need the higher tech units. You need the siege tanks, the medevacs, the Ravens, and also the massive upgrades. His Vikings almost have 3 attack, which you almost never see.
Wow, I'm really anxious to see just how much like 8 Hunter Seeker missiles can do. in a battle. And now we see Sheth, he did just establish that base down at the lower right-hand corner of the map. And now ThorZaIN, he's got to be prepping up to just make this final push, moving a sensor tower out there.
Oh, ThorZaIN is so nice. He sent that SCV back. This SCV has seen things. So, anyways, it does look like, though, I'm kind of curious on the units count here. It's 49 SCVs and 79 drones. That means his army size is just out of control. 143 army supply. And when you are mixing in this many fully upgraded Ravens, I mean, the Seeker Missile can just blanket the Zerg army, especially when it's Broodlords, and the Corruptors also clump up very heavily.
Yeah, when you've got 23 Corruptors, there's actually, and like if you're engaging one of these areas, there's not that many spaces for all of your air units to go.
Right.
You're most definitely going to see a bit of an overlap up there.
And right now, I mean, ThorZaIN's just turtling about as hard as he can. He may push in there at some point. He doesn't want to engage in a choke point, though, with the Broodlords on the high ground. And so I love how he set up these sensor towers, so counterattacks are actually impossible. ThorZaIN may be moving in here. This is about the 30-minute mark here in this game. So if this attack, I mean, this could go either way. I want to say the unit composition is slightly favoring ThorZaIN here, but I haven't seen this many Ravens in a TVZ in quite some time. And really, it's going to come down to the Ravens. Do they do their damage?
Right.
Do they pay for themselves?
Right. And that engagement angle is also going to be so important. Will Sheth be able to buy himself a little bit of time by landing a few of those fungals onto the ground force of ThorZaIN? Or will he end up just not being able to finish off any of that before all of his Broodlords die?
Man, ThorZaIN's setting up like the longest line of units here that I think I've ever seen. As this is a very large size map. It's very difficult to split this map in half, but ThorZaIN is going to go and attempt it anyways. The Viking has spotted, I think, the expansion down there. It's kind of hard to tell though because he hasn't seen the building itself. One Thor getting taken out here, but until these players engage and completely destroy an army, units here and there really don't matter. Having that Thor would have been nice for the splash damage, but here we go. The Corruptors need to watch out for the Seeker Missile. Here we go. They haven't launched, and the Corruptors do take a lot of damage there. He didn't lose all of them, so we can all calm down. But it does look like Sheth needs to make sure he doesn't lose those to a single Seeker Missile.
So ThorZaIN used a few of his Ravens to land just a couple of those defense drones, which means that he wasn't able to get out there and land just as many Hunter Seeker Missiles as he could. I hear Hunter Seeker Missiles. Where are they going down?
They aren't actually landing. There's one right there.
They are.
But he did lose the Ravens during that. How many Ravens does he have left? Oh, just 9. So he will have a lot to back that one up with. And I love how he's attacking from 2 locations at once. This army, he decides to go for it. It's now or never for him. But he ran. The Ravens way too far in there. The point defense drones do go down, though. But the Ravens have all but been destroyed. There's only 2 Ravens remaining. Fungals on the Vikings are going to be eliminating that. It does look like he's pushing out on the right side as well. Can Sheth break out of this? He currently has a supply lead, but he could still take a lot of damage from this. I think Sheth is going to be able to do it here.
Sheth's sheer number of Corruptors just getting out there and hammering right through those point defense drones meant that he was able to just follow up and continue slamming that army.
Oh my goodness. The units lost now is actually favoring Sheth for the first time since this game has started. This stupid point defense drone, these Corruptors are just so angry, and they're going to get taken out by these 2 Marines, it looks like. And there we go. Broodlords are pretty good versus 2 Marines.
Oh, man. And Sheth now deciding that rather than trying to deal with working through your army in the center of the map, I'm actually just going to make a Nidus in the back of your base and kill you from the inside out.
I don't see the Nidus itself, but yeah, this Infestor, man, you have had so long to kill these SCVs that you are fired. Now, it does look like Sheth is indeed pushing out with just a handful of Broodlords, 5 Broodlords right now. He needs to make sure not to overextend himself because even though he has a huge supply lead, I mean, this army could be eliminated here with, you know, just a couple of units because there's not that much anti-ground in this army, but he's still pushing forward, doing very, very well. Somehow has an Ultralisk over on this island, but it's definitely his island. And I don't know, he has about a 40 supply lead right now.
Yeah, and it's looking like Sheth actually is not willing to quite commit just yet. Oh man, and all the Vikings are going to be able to come in here. Potentially all of these Broodlords are just a little bit out of position. This could be horrible news for Sheth.
Yeah, horrible news indeed. Newsflash, he lost all the Broodlords, although another Raven goes down. Those Ravens are so expensive, and it does look like he's got to continue pushing forward here. The Ultralisk, though, engaging Thor is not the best engagement. Can Sheth continue to crush through this army? It's got to be close.
Yeah, now Sheth's Corruptors just really doing work here now, able to get in there and finish off a few of those medevacs, but the Thors have arrived for ThorZaIN as he continues to push across the center. Now, right now, Sheth has just about a double supply lead over ThorZaIN. He's also building a wave of 7 Ultralisks and 7 more Infestors.
Yeah, man, lucky number 7. 7 of each of the highest tech units. Now, where's that Nidustorm? I see it popping up somewhere. Oh, it's over here. He's probably trying to save that Ultralisk.
So he can defend his own base.
Ah, that is indeed true. He hasn't been mining at this location quite yet.
And yeah, there he is. He's actually going to be able to load up and take those units out of there if he wants. Maybe he's actually just forcing ThorZaIN into a panic so that he can like hear it but have no idea where it is.
Here comes the terrifying 2 Zergling drop to the main base here. We'll see if he can do that. And there's, oh my god, what's going on over here? So many workers going on right there, and it does look like the Broodlord right there is going to get taken out. We still don't see a Nidus Worm really doing all that much damage, you know, inside the main base. He's decided not to do that, and ThorZaIN has managed to scrape together another sizable force.
So as ThorZaIN continues to just close that gap, where is that next? Nope, it's actually just on the left side of the map. So he hasn't gotten aggressive with that quite yet, although Sheth is creating additional backdoors for him. So right over there, we could potentially see a really big flank with those Ultralisks, although he's not staying too close to that Nidus Canal, so he's just not making too much use of it. There are a few Ultralisks loaded up in there, so as long, maybe he's just going to wait for ThorZaIN to get out of position.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
He has
allowed ThorZaIN to remax out his army once again. I mean, he has 189 supply now. This Viking has been harassing this expansion since the dawn of time. And right now, I mean, Sheth's army is looking pretty good. He's got, both players now have the full upgrades. We have Ravens on the way again. And I guess we're just going to see how does the next big battle go, because it is once again 200 supply.
Yeah, it's going to come down again to whether or not those Ravens are able to land their Seeker missiles. Although, really, the Raven count just isn't as high as it was initially. He's only got 4 out there now, and now it's looking like ThorZaIN is going to be able to deter Sheth from trying to push across that center of the map. Now, Sheth's in a pretty comfortable spot. He's got, I mean, he's a few bases up at this point. And he's also supply capped, and he has so much float. I'm actually surprised that we haven't seen him throwing away more units.
Yeah, I mean, he has 7,000 minerals, 3,000 gas, and I think really what Sheth has to do here is try to do drops that are bigger than 2 Zerglings. I feel like if he's attacking multiple locations at once, don't try and drop over there, though, then he's going to be able to do a lot more in this game, because at some point, if he tries to engage this army in the center, I think that that's going to be ThorZaIN's strong point. You want to try and get this army out of position, try and force them to retreat. Like this location, for example, it's only defended by a planetary, and it's a fresh expansion there. So that's going to be one place he tries to do it. And now here comes the 2 Ultralisk counterattack.
Oh, yeah. Now, we actually saw ThorZaIN was getting ready to do a drop of zone, although those Spore Crawlers in the lower right-hand corner were able to stop before he's able to do much. We see this Thor trying to do what it can all by itself. If you've ever wondered who's going to win between max upgraded Thor and Ultra, you now have the answer.
We're not actually going to find out, as he did lift that up and pull it away. Here's the Overlord farm. I don't know if these are very important, because sometimes they do make extra Overlords, but we'll see, though, if those do end up getting taken out. And this is what I'm talking about. ThorZaIN's doing what Sheth needs to, which is attacking multiple locations, although he's doing quite a lot of Thor drops. Fungo's going down, as well as the Infested Terrans. We'll see if that's actually enough to clean that one up. The Overlords, though, are getting owned. There's still not a supply cap right there where he'll have to remake those, and he does manage to take out that fresh expansion right there. That's going to very severely hurt the income here for ThorZaIN, and ThorZaIN, I think, is going to lose that drop as well, but the Sheth himself has lost a couple Ultras in that regard.
Now we're seeing ThorZaIN pull back some of his units, just trying to bait a few of those in so that he can take down yet another Ultralisk, as both of these players are just looking for some small weakness in their opponent's play to finally break through.
Oh my god, this Infestor has finally done something by throwing out those Infested Terrans, and he is going to kill off some SCVs. He's almost redeeming himself. There are 3 Ultras over here just intercepting the reinforcements. SCVs transferring down as well. Not sure if these SCVs are actually important, because he's made so many and killed so many more of his own. It does look like the Infested Terrans have given up attacking. There he goes, going to continue forward. So he has denied mining by quite a bit. If we take a look at the income tab, both players are only hovering about 400 resources per minute.
Right now, actually, we've seen that ThorZaIN has had just about the same supply for a long time, but important to note is that he actually has half the amount of SCVs that Sheth has drones. So really, his army supply is going to be significantly larger when they do engage.
Yeah, and a lot of times you'll say, oh, he has double the workers. That's going to be really good for the player with more workers. But at this point in the game, I mean, there's a reason that ThorZaIN was sacrificing those workers, and that's why he has such a massive army. That's why Sheth is having a difficult time finding somewhere to attack. We do see another drop going on down here. The Infested Terran's going to be cleaning this up. It does look like the Infestors do not have enough energy to deal with that by using those fungals. And again, the Centaur Tower in the center going to prevent any sort of counterattack from happening. But it looks like both players may once again get maxed out.
Oh man, and now Sheth is actually not sure what to do with his 40+ drones walking around the center of the map. ThorZaIN finally losing that medevac that was down in the lower right-hand corner of the map. Oh, and he's now loading up all of his drones into that Nidus. Which worm are they going to come out of, Husky?
I know. I would imagine the one on the bottom right side. He is going to go ahead and, build another Nidus worm down there. And he finally does have Spore Crawlers here to help defend against that pesky single Viking that was killing everything. But he needs to get mining and start soon. Oh no, the Broodlords, what are you doing over here? And even these Broodlords are going to be completely susceptible to these Vikings. It does look like maybe 4 Broodlords at the most. Potentially just 3 will go down. Need to watch out for the Seeker Missile. Doesn't have enough energy. Oh, he does! He does actually, and is able to kill off, at least soften those. And you gotta remember that Corruptors have 200 HP and now 5 armor. So any splash damage you can do to them just makes them so much weak, because that's their strong suit, is they have a lot of health and armor.
And man, we can actually see Sheth is now trying to take that base up there. Those 3 lone Marines on their super special mission, trying to finish off that hatchery all by themselves. Oh, and actually forcing Sheth into a cancel up there.
Yeah, I don't think he...
No, he actually didn't. He actually lost all 350 minerals.
And you gotta remember that Sheth used to be at 7,000 minerals. He is now down to 1,300. So if he cannot get a favorable engagement here, then all of a sudden ThorZaIN is gonna be the one with a huge, huge mineral advantage and even a gas advantage at this point. So ThorZaIN continuing to fly around, doing a couple Thor drops here and there. But ThorZaIN, I mean, we've talked about this in the past, how he loves being slow and methodical. He does not want to give up this great position that he has, because he can expand to the right side now. You can see dropping all the mules right there. But also, that opens up the left side base as well, which will actually give him an expansion advantage if he can deny this base up here from actually ever mining.
And I mean, as we can see, he's just going to stay a little bit active over there, continuing to pick off a few of those overlords left and right. Now, Sheth over here does have a really large army. He has to be just waiting, getting ready to go ahead and push through. Ladies and gentlemen, let's actually hear where your support's at. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to see a Game 3, if you want to see Sheth close this out, let's hear a cheer. And now on the other side of the coin, if you want to see EG's ThorZaIN close out the series and take down Sheth, let's hear a cheer. Oh man, lots of people actually really pumped on seeing the most recent DreamHack Stockholm champion ThorZaIN take this one down.
Yeah, now he actually will have fully upgraded Vikings. I don't know the last time I saw that, but he has almost every upgrade in the book. His mech is fully upgraded except for armor, deciding to completely skip that, interestingly enough. And here he goes forward just a little bit. Is Sheth going to move out here quite? Nope, not quite yet, as he's just worried about those Vikings. And now he is going to be moving forward. Now he has to watch out for the Ravens. What's the Raven count at? He is at 8 Ravens right now. And that can be enough to take out all of those Corruptors. But I feel like both players know that if they move, they can immediately lose the game. But at some point, they're going to have to, because ThorZaIN is at 7,000 minerals now, and he has a lot of production. These Broodlords are a little bit clumped up. He does Neuroparasite on the Thorzo. He's using them to kill off the Ravens. Can he push out here? Can he fly the Ravens away? Yes, ThorZaIN does manage to save those. The Ravens are low on HP, but high on energy here. Both of the Thors do go down. That's a lot of Broodlings, and they're fully upgraded.
Oh man, and in comes ThorZaIN trying to fight off the rest of these Broodlords. Oh, but will he be able to land a couple of those 100 Seeker missiles? And they land onto the Broodlords, just taking down that Broodlord count. It's looking like the Vikings could very well be able to clean this up. The huge splash damage also damaged some of those units on the ground as well. We can see that ThorZaIN has taken an absolutely massive lead.
Indeed, he has. Sheth also not making units during this attack. That's why the supply lead is so heavily in the Terran's favor now. Now, he is making 5 Ultras, 38 Lings, but unfortunately, Ultras take additional damage versus the Siege Tanks. They also take a ton of damage from the Thors, just because Thors, they shoot slow but do a lot of damage to one singular target. He does drop mules. Those are not Manor Mules. Everyone calm down. He's going to be repairing.
Repair.
Yes, they do have a job, which currently they are not following because they're just still in there, but he is going to repair up those units. Those Thors desperately need to be repaired right now.
That's right. Hearing the crowd yell at the mules, that's right. Tell them to get back to work.
Yeah, there they go. They are mining up. And the Vikings, well, now the Vikings aren't as important because Broodlords are not a threat. It's just going to be dealing with those Ultralists. And unfortunately for Sheth, that was the battle he needed to win, because he has no option to follow it up with. If he makes Broodlords, they're going to get owned by the Vikings. If he makes Ultras, they're going to get owned by the Thors and tanks. So the only way I can imagine Sheth getting back into this is attacking multiple locations at once. Just realize there is a lot of command centers over here just chilling out there. But he can't engage his army directly. He's going to try, but this is going to be very dire for him.
Oh man, and now Sheth is trying to get in and break the line, although we can see the Vikings cutting back just a little bit as all the tanks and the Marines do their job. There's just not enough bundles to get down there and kill off the Marines before we see ThorZaIN's backup of all the siege tanks just destroy that army. Now Sheth's pretty much been pulled limb from limb here. He's going to need a miracle to come back from this one.
I just love how that was 4 mules repairing each other, even though they're all going to die in like 2 seconds anyways. Don't think I've ever seen that, but the good old powerful auto
sharing
repair
their stories, explaining that they loved one another.
Yeah, it was a good life that they had. And once again, repairing up his units here. The supply count 144 to 102. And we have everyone's favorite Ultralist drop. right now, Rob, as he does have a single Ultralisk inside there. We'll see where that guy ends up going.
Hey, they do a lot of damage to buildings.
Indeed they do. Now, it does look like trying to kill off the workers here. They're still alive, though. And honestly, even having SCVs at this point is kind of pointless because he has so many command centers for mules. This expansion got cleaned up during that chaos and the Ultra Drop. Unfortunately, you can't repair Ultralisk, but you can repair Thors.
Oh, wow. That was actually so close to still being able to kill that Thor. He had 4 SCVs repairing it.
Yeah, no, he is going to be able to lock down this expansion over here, and you know, it's going to take a lot more than this, though, because he's not going to even up the supply at all. All that's left over here is a bunch of mules, and ThorZaIN's going to be marching up here, maybe able to clean this up as well. And the income for Sheth has got to be abysmal. Yeah, he is at 800, which is allowing him to make a lot of lings, mixing in an Infestor and an Ultra here or there. But the Banshee's going to prove to be so annoying because you don't really have any anti-air. Right now, I don't think he has any Corruptors at all. No, he doesn't. So the Banshees will continue to be annoying here. But it's going to be so tough here for Liquid Sheth because ThorZaIN is still hovering 5,000 minerals.
And so now, ThorZaIN, because we see that Sheth doesn't really have a very high Corruptor count, that means that ThorZaIN is pretty much going to have free reign over this upper left-hand side of the map to get that final island base. Now, Sheth has just started a Nidus Swarm up there, but as long as ThorZaIN's able to finish that off, he's going to be able to maintain that economy advantage and close out this game.
Now, it does look like Sheth may be attacking the right side. ThorZaIN is a little bit out of position here to deal with this. There's not a whole lot going on over there. Where is his army? And Sheth might actually be able to engage this army here, and he does have the Infestors. They're pretty good on energy. Does he decide to fungal on something? Or what is he going to use these Infestors for? Yep, he does fungal right there, but he may lose them to the Banshees. One Infestor does go down. Every single Infestor is vital. And if we do take a look at the worker count, once again, it's favoring the Zerg player, which means the army supply is higher for ThorZaIN.
Well, it's absolutely massive. Not only does he have a 50 supply lead, but he's also 24, or has 24 less workers than Sheth anyway. So that actually means that his lead is closer to about 80 supply at this point, especially when we count about the armies. We see just how important those orbital commands can be this late in the game. You just don't need the SCVs anymore when you have an entire base of orbitals.
Sheth does need this geyser right here, though, as it's really one of the only ones he's mining from. The Zerglings are not able to clean this up. The Marines are completely owning every single drone down there, and they do finally transfer away. Sheth scrambling around to try and deal with that. Now, Sheth still is able to pick off a couple units here and there, but he is still suffering from a double supply deficit. I mean, ThorZaIN's sitting at 154 supply, and the Marines just continuing to lock down this expansion. This was Sheth's only mining base. He just lost his Ultralisk up here as well. And there's the GG, a 51-minute TVZ. And Sheth, I mean, there was a moment there where he crushed that army in the center, but ThorZaIN, his macro was just so darn good that he was able to get back in it. And ThorZaIN, we were talking about how he loves playing slow and steady. That was just mostly slow.
But steady as well. He went in there for really solid trades. He was just waiting for that split second that Sheth was going to stack up too many of his Corruptors. We saw how important those Hunter-Seeker missiles were, and Sheth fought valiantly, but ThorZaIN was able to close it out 2-0.
Indeed. So Sheth is on the right, ThorZaIN on the left. So we are going to hop into a quick break because we have got to get the next group started ASAP. So I hope you guys enjoy it. We're going to be back in just a moment right after this. I'm Husky.
And I'm Rob Simpson. Keep it locked.